Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have 20 Minutes Till Dawn, a twin stick roguelite. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Flan and publisher Arabit, 20 Minutes Till Dawn released on Steam in early access in June of 2022. Although this is an early access title, it's one that I can already heartily recommend. Especially if you're a fan of twin stick shoot 'em ups, roguelites, or games such as Vampire Survivors, which this game does have some similarities to. It also has a wonderful price point with tons of value offered there for a very low cost of entry. So with that said, let's dive in and see what this game has to offer. So the main menu here, we have the play option. There's also the ability to change your language, and under options there's you can change your volume settings as well as some resolution options. Starting the game, we're taken to this screen here where things already get really awesome. So initially, when you play the game for the first time, you'll have one character available out of the 7 total, and one weapon available out of the 7 total. Then throughout the course of your various runs, we'll unlock these points up here, which you can use to unlock characters, and then especially once you've had all the characters unlocked, we can purchase runes, which are basically these abilities that are kind of broken down into 2 tech trees, sword and shield, with various ranks. So if you put enough points in one rank, then you'll unlock the 3 options beneath it, and so on and so forth. Though you can only have one ability equipped at a time. So we've got one right now that increases our fire rate and reload, as well as one that gives us better pickup range and vision range, which you'll kind of see in effect here in just a moment. So we'll start with basically our vanilla run, although with some power-ups from our runes, and you can kind of see how the game generally flows. There are 2 modes to play the game in. The standard mode, which is your 20 minutes of survival. There's also the quick play mode, which is half that time, and as you can see here it's saying faster XP gain and no achievements. So this is kind of your like just quick run if you don't have a whole lot of time, or if you just want to kind of blast through a whole bunch of runs to help unlock things a bit faster. You can also increase the difficulty once you've completed successful runs in standard mode. Starting the game, this is 20 minutes till dawn. So the whole idea is we're trying to survive for 20 minutes, or in the case of a quick play, 10 minutes. It's a twin stick shoot 'em up, so the left stick moves our character, the right stick controls where we aim, and then in the case of using a controller, we'll use the right trigger to fire. Some characters do have a special ability that will use the left trigger, and you have a button for reload. It can also be played with keyboard and mouse. The controls for such were displayed there at the bottom. So what's going on here? We have all these enemies that are swarming us, and as we defeat these enemies using our weapons, so in the case of this particular run, the revolver, we they drop these experience crystals that we can pick up and ultimately level up. And here's where the roguelite element enters the gameplay. So when we level up, you can see that we can choose between 5 different upgrades. So let's look a little bit at what we have here. We can summon this dragon egg, which will hatch into a dragon after 3 minutes time. There's this light weaponry, which gives us a magic dagger that deals the same damage as our bullets. Magnetism is basically a pickup range, so we can pick up the experience the enemies drop from further away. A shield, fairly explanatory there, and Frost Mage. So Frost Mage gives our bullets the ability to freeze the enemies for a period of time. This one is super interesting, so I think this is the one we're going to pick. In addition to that, our character Shana does have the ability to reroll upgrades. That's her special character ability. So we'll just choose the Frost Mage though, as I do like that option. As you can see here, maybe every once in a while we will freeze enemies. So there's a 35% chance that our shots will freeze these enemies, and it's important to note that with a the kind of a gun that we have, we're not getting a ton of shots, so not as many chances to freeze the enemies. So now, one of the things I didn't mention is when you choose an upgrade, it kind of unlocks like this mini tech tree. So we chose Frost Mage, and that unlocks the ability for us to get both Frostbite, which is one of our choices here, and potentially Ice Shard. And if we select one of those, then we can get the powerful choice in that tech tree, in this case Shatter. And some choices will ultimately lead to synergies. If you have two fully maxed out trees, then you can get synergies, which will really power up your characters, though sometimes there'll be some negative effects associated with some of our upgrades as well. So once again, the Dragon Egg is available, but we can also pick the Double Shot. As you can see here, the Double Shot is +1 projectile, it adds a spread, but it does decrease our bullet damage. This is the option I'm going to take though, as it will help synergize with our Frost Mage. Selecting the Double Shot. Now we're firing 2 shots, giving ourselves like basically for every time we shoot, double the chance will freeze enemies, making use of that Frost Mage ability. And basically that's your gameplay loop for 20 minutes till dawn. There aren't a ton of enemy types, but as the game progresses, we'll see more enemies, we'll see even sometimes elites or bosses that we need to defeat that come up throughout the course of our time. But one thing that's neat is you don't have to defeat those enemies. As long as you survive the whole time frame that we're looking at, then you can complete that run, which is really awesome in a lot of ways. So another interesting selection of power-ups here, so we could also add Pyromage to what we're working on here, or we could select a summon like Ghost Friend here. And you're just looking to build your run in whatever way suits what you're looking to accomplish. Some of that will just be based off of the character that you're playing as, the weapons that you happen to have chosen for your particular run. With 7 different characters, 7 different weapons, there's a lot of options for how you could start your run, and then from there things just evolve even further. So we have a couple unlocks that are coming from our Ghost Friend. Here, NSYNC increases summon damage, attack speed for our summon, or we can just straight up increase the attack speed of our summon. We can also bring in another summon, the Magic Dagger, and I think that's what we'll do for this particular run. And overall, things are going relatively well. In just a moment we should see our first elite. So as you can see, sometimes though it is possible to get yourself easily swarmed. We do also have some additional enemies spawning in, so here we could do a couple things to help increase our survivability as we're just down to our last heart. We can take the Holy Shield, which will give us a protective shield that will regenerate if it's lost after 2 minutes time, or we can take Vitality, which just straight up gives us another HP. We'll just take the shield, kind of show that off. So although the game is titled 20 minutes till dawn, your runs are going to take a little bit longer than 20 minutes, as you do have that pause in the time when you choose your upgrades when you level up. So one thing you might notice around the field is there's also these trees that are surrounding us, and you have to be careful around those trees, as it is possible for them to deal damage to you. You might notice if we get close to them, they have eyes, and if that eye is open especially, you will take damage from those trees, so you do have to be careful. So if you lose all your life, your run will come to an end, and you're given those points, those runes, to spend on unlocking the characters, the weapons, and progressing through the various runes. You'll get points for the time you survived, the number of enemies defeated, and your level when you died. So quitting back to the menu, we'll start another run just to show off a little bit more gameplay as I kind of give you my thoughts. So the other characters, we have Diamond, who has high HP. Scarlet, she's basically your burn expert. Hina, so she's a ninja that has some specialty like dodges to make things interesting. Spark, your lightning expert. Lilith, who creates summons whenever she kills an enemy, and Abby, who is good at dealing a lot of damage quickly as she can empty her clip to shoot in various random directions, as well as all the other weapon choices we have down here. So we'll pick Spark, so I can kind of show off a little bit of the lightning and some of the choices with how weapons could affect things. So she has the ability to, or a 50% chance to call down lightning that will deal 5 damage with every bullet. So the more bullets you're firing, the better off you are with a character like this, so we'll take the dual SMGs. There's also like a short-range shotgun, single-shot like crossbow, flame cannon for something that's similar to a flamethrower, the bat gun, which is a interestingly weird homing weapon, and a grenade launcher. So starting this run, we'll go with the same settings we had set up before. So one thing to note about the SMG, you have a significantly higher number of bullets per clip, 24 versus the 6 for the revolver, but it takes 2 full seconds to reload the SMG, so you're vulnerable not firing for a longer period of time. But with a character like Spark, as you can see here, we're putting a lot of bullets out there, so the 50% chance for the lightning, it happens quite frequently. So I was hoping that we might get like the Electromage option here to show that off, but where that's not here, let's take the Glare. This basically is area of effect damage around our character, so if you have enemies within our vision range for 2 seconds, they'll take 25 points damage. So we could just run around the enemies and actually deal a substantial amount of damage to these enemies. It's a pretty awesome ability to take. That's one that from the first time I played, or rather from just playing this game just like yesterday, it's one that's already like changed fairly radically, as the game did get patch since I played it yesterday. Let's change things up quite a bit, and that's one thing that I would like to point out. Where this game is in early access, it's going to be changing over the course of development, sometimes fairly radically, so things that you might like about the game might go away, or new features or improvements to the various effects that we have will change. So keep in mind, like a game that's in early access is always kind of like a moving target, as whether or not it'll be something that's like ultimately comes out as like a super strong title in the end, or one that might like end up with a little bit of bloat. So another thing about like this game, it would be nice if there was an option to kind of like turn up like the gamma just a hair, or like the brightnesses, depending on like how you're playing it or what you're playing it on. It might just end up being a little bit too dark. But once again, like the patch does seem to have helped that a little bit. So especially with Spark being kind of an Electromage, getting the Electromage upgrade for her just seems like the best choice. The Electromage, on every second shot you call down a lightning strike that deals 22 damage. Wonderful. And with the SMG, you'll be calling down lightning quite a bit. Also, we haven't seen any of the elite enemies yet, but one of the things that I find kind of tricky about the game is you never really know how far into dealing damage to those like bosses, those elites you are. It would be nice if even if the other enemies didn't, if those ones had like a health bar or some indication as to how far along you were in taking out those enemies. But on the plus side, I love the way this game does roguelites. So the whole select one initial upgrade to unlock an upgrade tree, and then having those come up and having like the 5 upgrades to choose from, I think is a wonderful implementation of the roguelite mechanic. Then as far as the twin stick side of things, I also just feel that this game performs wonderfully as a twin stick shoot 'em up, and I really do enjoy the gameplay it has to offer. And lastly, just like the value for using like the old saying, for like less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can get this game that's going to provide you with hours of fun entertainment, and really that sort of thing in my mind just like is worth quite a bit. Like so there you have it. 20 minutes till dawn, served up for your enjoyment. Definitely a solid recommend, even in the early access state from me. So that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. Oh, before we go, so when you do defeat the elite, sometimes you'll get some special abilities or some tomes. In this, and they're character specific, there'll be a couple different options you can get. So for here, we can take or leave this one, as it does decrease our bullet damage but gives us more lightning damage. Definitely one that I feel we should take. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope you yourself have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.